A symbol of perseverance, creativity, and unfaltering commitment, Jane Fonda is more than simply a famous actress who has won numerous honors, including 2 Oscars. From her glamorous Hollywood days to her current roles as an 87-year-old social activist, novelist, and fashion model, Jane's life has been filled with triumphs and tragedies. From the scars of her youth and her complicated connection with her father to her tumultuous marriages and cancer diagnosis in her latter years, Jane Fonda's bravery in conquering these obstacles is an inspiration. Not only has she been successful in the entertainment industry, but she has also been an activist for social justice. Working for social justice and protecting the environment. When you're 87 years old, what is it about you that continues to astound anyone? Come with us as we delve into Jane Fonda's brilliant career, unseen battles, and incredible strength, a lady who lives, fights, and shines in her own unique manner. In the beginning, Jane Fonda came from a prominent family in New York City, where she was born on December 21, 1937. But there were unseen flaws that few realized existed beneath that glitzy exterior. Henry Fonda was her father and a legendary figure in Hollywood, a role model for innumerable heroic performances. Henry was aloof and unfeeling in person. He was distant from his children and seldom showed them his feelings. The fact that Jane wanted her father's approval and love but couldn't figure out how to get it complicated their relationship. Frances Ford Seymour, Jane's mother, was a stunningly beautiful aristocratic woman who suffered from severe mental illness. Frances had a lot on her plate between life's demands and her husband's constant estrangement. Jane frequently felt lonely and abandoned as a child due to the long-lasting effects of her mother's mental health concerns, which included depression and emotional instability. Jane loved and respected her father very much, even though he was distant and uncaring. She went into acting as a means of reaching him and spent her entire life trying to live up to his expectations. Acting alongside her father in the film On Golden Pond was a life-changing experience for Jane. Jane went above and above the script in an emotional scene to show Henry how she really felt. As a result, Jane and her father, who had been emotionally distant for a long time, were able to reconcile for the first time. After a long battle with mental illness, Jane's mother Frances took her own life when Jane was 12 years old, causing a devastating shock. It was a devastating loss that altered Jane's perspective on life and her mental health. The reality, however, was revealed to her in a newspaper piece sometime later. In addition to the unexpected loss, Jane felt guilty about her mother's death and wondered what she could have done to prevent it. She never knew the exact cause of her mother's death. All of Jane's relationships and self-perception were affected by the emotional trauma she had as a youngster. Never stops looking for approval, particularly from the males in her life. Still, Jane grew stronger and more resilient as a result of her hardships. The world looks up to her for her courage and determination, career path, and notable roles. Partially to shed light on her troubled background and her complicated connection with her father, Jane Fonda chose to pursue acting after a troubled upbringing. She also wanted her father to be recognized for his contributions. Acting became more than just a profession for her. It was a means of self-expression, healing from childhood trauma, and discovering her purpose in life. From glitzy Hollywood icon to respected actress and courageous social activist, Jane's career was a whirlwind of remarkable changes. Famous parts that Jane Fonda played early in her career sometimes portrayed women as objects. Her performance in the 1968 picture Barbarella, directed by her husband Roger Vadim, was one of her earliest notable achievements. Jane was transformed into a Hollywood sex goddess after appearing in the film in a series of provocative ensembles that came to symbolize the 1960s. Despite her rising stardom, Jane struggled with the image she was projecting, a sultry persona that betrayed her ideals and the independence she sought. Combining feminism with objectification, Barbarella was an innovative film. The ability to command a spaceship and rescue an entire planet was bestowed upon Jane's character. Her steamy escapades were the center of attention, on the other hand. The sensual portrayal and skin-bearing clothing made Jane feel like she had to play a role she didn't want to play. The fear of recording such risky scenes made Jane take alcohol to calm her nerves, she said. Jane thought she wanted to change after going through this ordeal, so she divorced Vadim and went back to the United States to start over. The 1969 film They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Marked the beginning of Jane Fonda's metamorphosis. Characterized by social realism and depicting the hopelessness of Great Depression-era dance marathon participants, this film stood in sharp contrast to Barbarella. Jane played the role of a downtrodden woman who entered the contest for financial gain but decided to take her own life. Since she got to delve into deep human and societal issues, it was the first time acting gave Jane a sense of purpose and joy. Her exceptional acting chops were on full display in this part, which also netted her first. Jane Fonda was a multi-talented actor with a wide range of roles. She was also a beauty icon. She played the role of Bree Daniels, a prostitute, in the 1971 psychological thriller Clute, which was her first big break. Jane exhibited remarkable realism and depth as Bree, a job that demanded much research and an extraordinary capacity to fully immerse herself in the character. Her incredible acting chops and willingness to shed her past persona were on full display in her performance, which garnered her first Academy Award. Not to flaunt her wealth, but to voice her disapproval of the Vietnam War, Jane made a statement at the 1972 Academy Awards in a black suit adorned with a Mao collar. While Hollywood was decked out in glitzy gowns, Jane's decision made a strong political message. It showed that Jane was prepared to utilize her fame and celebrity to stand up for causes she cared about, rather than merely being a movie star. Cast as a woman who develops feelings for a Vietnam War veteran afflicted with profound psychological traumas, Jane won her second Academy Award for the 1978 film Coming Home. A strong statement against war and its devastating effects were also important themes in Coming Home, which was more than just a love story. Jane, who is deaf and often ignored at big events like the Oscars, prepared her acceptance speech in sign language in an effort to bring attention to and support for the deaf community. This was a truly extraordinary occasion for her, showcasing her profound care for marginalized communities and her determination to utilize her influence for positive change. Jane also gained fame for her 1980 comedy 9 to 5, in which she co-starred alongside Dolly Parton and Lily Tomlin to portray the difficulties encountered by female office workers in the face of workplace inequality and harassment. Among the most financially successful comedies of the 80s, the picture showcased Jane's unwavering dedication to promoting equality for women. She was the driving force behind the project and also starred in it, moved by the experiences of the women she met in the workplace while fighting for gender equality. Because it let people laugh while tackling serious societal issues, the film was a huge hit. Life outside of work and marriage. Jane Fonda had a lot of problems in her private life after her huge acting success and several accolades. Roger Vadim was Jane's first husband, and they were married in 1965, the same year that her acting career took off. The French-Russian filmmaker Vadim lived a bohemian existence and was famously free-spirited. Vadim was the man behind the camera for Barbarella, the sexy icon of the 60s that Jane became. Conflicts and problems abound in marital life with Vadim. Jane reluctantly agreed to Vadim's proposal of an open marriage because he believed in free love. Jane lacked self-awareness back then. Agreeing to Vadim's demands was her belief in the only way to save their marriage, thus she made an effort to please him continually. Nevertheless, Jane felt abandoned and mistreated as a result of Vadim's freedom, which caused her deep pain. In addition, Jane had to spend her mother's bequest to assist Vadim pay off his gambling debts, and he frequently begged her for money. Jane has spoken publicly about how she became more introverted and silent as a result of her marriage, which forced her to accept many things against her will. After enduring years of mental anguish and compromise, Jane finally chose to divorce in 1973. Regardless, she and Vadim kept their friendship and co-parented Vanessa. Jane also had her first epiphany at this moment. Empathy and respect are prerequisites for love. Tom Hayden, a prominent political activist who believed as Jane did in the need of standing out for social justice, was Jane's second husband. Not long after Jane's 1973 divorce from Vadim, they tied the knot. Both she and Hayden were deeply committed to making a difference in the world through politics. In order to become a powerful feminist activist and devote herself entirely to Hayden's political principles, Jane gave up the alluring Barbarella persona. Through her acting career and the sales of her popular exercise videos, she became the family's principal breadwinner. Jane Fonda rose to prominence as an advocate for at-home workouts around that time. Her debut exercise DVD, Jane Fonda Workout, was published in 1982. For Hayden, this was more than simply a business venture. It was a means to fund her political campaigns, most notably the formation and upkeep of the Campaign for Economic Democracy. Jane was surprised by how popular the video became at first. Providing them with an easy and efficient method to work out at home was her primary goal. Having said that, the video's release couldn't have been timed better. As more and more people wanted to work out in the comfort of their own homes. Thanks to its welcoming tone and thorough instructions, Jane Fonda Workout became the most popular home exercise video of all time and became an instant sensation. It helped establish Jane Fonda as a symbol of the fitness movement, particularly among women, and it was the first training film to achieve such success. Millions of people all over the globe found motivation in her exercise videos, which sparked a movement toward a healthier, more self-assured way of living. Being a successful wife was insufficient. Even though they had similar values, Jane Fonda and Tom Hayden had a rocky relationship. When Jane participated in social events, Tom typically found fault with her and was quick to condemn her. Because of this, Jane felt like she had to always put up more effort to be accepted, and she was never good enough. It hurt Jane much when Hayden started seeing another lady. At the same time, she came to the realization that she needed to break out of her unhappy marriage. When Jane's marriage dissolved in 1990, it was the beginning of her new chapter as an independent and liberated woman. Jane's last marriage occurred in 1991 to CNN founder Ted Turner. Jane had to abandon her profession to devote herself entirely to her duty as Ted Turner's wife since he was so powerful and stubborn. She attempted to be the ideal wife that Ted wanted, so she stopped acting and ceased being involved in politics. To appease her spouse, she tried to transform herself, even if it meant sacrificing her beliefs and interests. But Jane, a strong, independent, and passionate woman, finally understood after years of compromising that she was losing herself. In the end, she chose to end her marriage in 2001. Jane and Ted stayed friends during the tough times of their separation, and she confided in Ted that she never would have achieved her goals in life if she had stayed. Jane Fonda began her path to freedom and self-awareness after 3 troubled marriages. Jane made the decision to stop depending on Ted Turner and figure out her own value when they broke up. She opened up about how, for the first time, she felt completely independent and no longer needed the approval of others. Instead of pursuing personal relationships, she devoted herself fully to being an activist for gender equality, protecting the environment, and enjoying her independence. Without the constraints of other people's expectations or norms, Jane was able to blossom into her own womanhood when she moved out on her own. The beliefs of Jane Fonda on love and freedom underwent a significant transformation. What really mattered to her, she realized, was not how other people perceived her, but rather the impact she had on the world. Jane is still passionate about life and giving her all to it, even though she is 87 years old. She has always been very good at starting over and refreshing her. Jane Fonda's decision to return to her acting passion came after she ended her marriage to Ted Turner. Making this bold move was no small feat, considering she had spent the previous 15 years tending to her family and fulfilling her job as the wife of one of America's most influential men. There was a time when Jane believed her acting days were finished and that she would never again have the opportunity to work in Hollywood. But in 2005, she had the chance to star alongside Jennifer Lopez in the comedy Monster-in-Law. Monster-in-Law was a remarkable return for Jane, and the part helped her win back the audience's affection. Jane brought a lot of humor to the role of a manipulative and uncooperative mother-in-law, setting up a playful rivalry with Jennifer Lopez's character. Because of this contrast, the picture became a hit and was among the year's most profitable comedies. Jane Fonda revealed that she handpicked Monster-in-Law so that young viewers would initially see Jennifer Lopez in the picture, but would later find and adore Jane Fonda. The film was a huge success, and it brought back all the feelings of excitement and love that Jane had for performing. After Monster-in-Law, Jane collaborated with Lily Tomlin on the 2015 comedy series Grace and Frankie, further solidifying her standing in the entertainment business. Since 1980, when they first worked together at 9 to 5, Jane and Lily's connection had blossomed into a close friendship. Producing the popular TV show Friends alongside co-creator Marta Kaufman, approached Jane, and we were both filled with anticipation and eagerness for what lay ahead. Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin star as Grace and Frankie, two middle-aged women whose lives are upended when they learn their husbands are secretly in love and decide to tie the knot. Laughter was there, but there were also many deep lessons about love, friendship, and embracing change in the act. Depicted brilliantly the friendship that develops between two characters who couldn't be more different from one another, a refined and refined individual, and a free-spirited and bohemian. Grace and Frankie was a hit with viewers of all ages and went on to become the longest-running comedy series on Netflix. The event was uplifting for many women of a more mature age, showing them that life can be full of color and adventure even after all these years. Grace and Frankie was more than simply an acting gig for Jane. It was an opportunity to prove that one's creative potential and capacity to enjoy life are unbounded by the passage of time. A big part of Jane's support system for staying true to herself, loving herself, and thriving professionally and personally came from her connection with Lily Tomlin. Jane Fonda, who was over 85 years old, was confronted with yet another grave illness. Jane made the announcement that she had been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma in September 2022. This type of cancer is frequent in the U.S. She shocked everyone by posting this on her personal page, but her sunny disposition and composure won them over. Jane expressed her confidence in the ability to successfully treat her disease and announced her intention to undergo chemotherapy for 6 months. Almost 80% of people diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma go on to live. She expressed gratitude for her insurance and the opportunity to see top doctors, saying that not everyone in the U.S. has these advantages. Jane Fonda faced her disease with courage and determination, refusing to let it bring her down or make her fear. She saw her disease as a teacher who showed her how to deal with the difficulties of life, particularly in her twilight years. According to Jane, the illness made her realize how precious life is and how important it is to savor each moment. Having cancer was a tremendous spiritual test for Jane, teaching her to persevere in the face of adversity and find ways to make the most of limited resources. Jane Fonda has stated that her humanitarian efforts and environmental causes will continue unabated despite her battle with cancer. Jane did not stop her commitment to environmental conservation when she became ill. She instead participated in efforts to bring attention to human rights and climate change. Whatever happens, she is certain that she will be able to make a positive impact on society and carry on her mission to change the world. Among Jane Fonda's many admirable qualities is her capacity to put herself in another person's shoes. Jane said in her illness blog that it broke her heart to consider the plight of families that did not have the same access to quality healthcare that she had. Jane Fonda believes that no one should be able to let their age, sickness, or any other limitation stop them from leading a life that is meaningful and committed. She felt compelled to do more after realizing she was one of the fortunate few to have access to high-quality healthcare. Jane battled back to health and resumed her job, fearlessly venturing into uncharted territory thanks to her strength and resilience. Her uplifting catwalk show at the age of 87, radiating with beauty and poise, re-enchanted millions of viewers and made a profound impact on society. Jane Fonda stunned onlookers on September 23, 2024, when she made an unexpected appearance at Paris Fashion Week, a global phenomenon in the realm of haute couture. Jane, who walked the runway with confidence and boundless enthusiasm alongside young models like Kendall Jenner and Cara Delevingne, commanded everyone's attention. The younger models may have had more personality and beauty, but Jane, the oldest star on the runway that day, was undeniably captivating. Jane opted for a vibrant and stylish athletic ensemble consisting of a dazzling silver long coat and sneakers. The crowd went wild with cheers and clapping as she confidently strode the stage while grinning from ear to ear. Notably, Jane's genuine and kind nature was on full display when she neared the end of the runway and winked at the crowd, making a lasting impression on the audience. Not only did Jane Fonda's stage performance make an impression, but her catwalk show that followed garnered thousands of accolades and congratulations from the internet community. As soon as her photographs from the runway were live on social media, dozens of comments flooded in, praising and celebrating her as an iconic figure. Some Instagram users got chills seeing her gleam at over 87 years old, while others said she was still killing it on the runway. It is clear from Jane Fonda's every move that self-assurance and attractiveness stem from being one's own self, from taking risks, and from believing in one's aspirations. When it comes to death, Jane Fonda has an interesting take. She views it as an exciting new opportunity rather than a threat. She said in an interview that she would be able to accept death with peace if it were to happen right now. She considers it a miracle that she is still alive and able to make a difference in the world at the age of 87, as she once believed she wouldn't make it past 30. To Jane, death is just another part of life. It's something that everyone has to deal with eventually. Having said that, death is not her greatest fear. Yet the remorse that follows from having missed the opportunity to put things right. As Jane's life winds down, she worries that there will be unfinished business, unresolved conflicts, and unspoken regrets. This motivates her to make the most of every moment, learn from her mistakes, and cherish her relationships with those she cares about. One of Jane's worst regrets is the time she spent as a mother. She was clean about her shortcomings as a mother to her small children. Jane was too preoccupied with her acting career and extracurriculars to give her kids the attention they needed. She reflected on a moment when her son Troy had questioned her decision to become a mother. A heartbreaking question that made Jane realize how much she had missed out on with her children. On the other hand, Jane thinks that there is always an opportunity. She hopes that by strengthening her bond with her children and spending more time with them, she may make up for her mistakes of the past. The first step toward change and improvement, in Jane's view, is acknowledging and admitting mistakes. Being a better mother in her twilight years has given her the happiness and satisfaction she longed for in her youth. Having reconciled with her father, Henry Fonda, before he died away was a blessing in and of itself, according to Jane Fonda. Jane informed her father, Henry Fonda, that she loved him and had forgiven him for everything he had done or hadn't done for her before he passed away in 1982. She begged for his pardon for the time she had failed to be an ideal daughter. Jane had never seen her father weep before, so that moment was really magical for her. Wow, that was absolutely. In addition to bringing her inner peace, she gained a deeper appreciation for love and family through the process of reconciliation and forgiveness. Life is too brief to harbor resentment and unresolved conflicts, as Jane Fonda wisely points out. As a rule, she never lets things go unsolved and makes an effort to make amends with the people she cares about. There is a profound life lesson in Jane's message about regret and death. Having a profound and complete life, to cherish and pardon, and to ensure that no task is left unfinished when this life ends. Fill out the comments section with your views and opinions if Jane Fonda's tale moved you. If you like these moving and fascinating documentaries on the lives of other celebrities, you should subscribe to the channel to see more like them. Coming up in the next video, man.